Hello, this is Heather with Creativity by Heather BE. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited because today we are doing a 5 cards 1 kit using the Brutus Monroe Homegrown Kit. So for the first card, I took one of the panels and I used my scan and cut to cut all of the little flowers. And I'm going to take each of these little floral flowers and look like little daisies, and I'm going to cut a small piece of foil, and I'm going to run these through my machine and foil each of them a different color. I'm not going to actually add color to the petals. I'm just going to use the foiling. So the foils that I'm using here are mostly Gina Thermoweb. So I'm using brilliant blue, sparkling silver, twinkling pink, glittering green, and dazzling orange. And they're going to give a great outline of color on the cut up panel, and I love these panels that come in the kit. This is sped up quite a bit. My Mink does not run that fast, but I'm going to pull these off and you can see. And you also notice that I put a bunch of them in there at the same time, and as long as the foils aren't touching another, like they're just overlapping foil, you can do that, which is really nice. So you can see this great shimmer and shine that it gives. And I decided I wanted to leave those insides white, as I said, just to make sure that foil popped on my card. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a panel of Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to use 4 different Distress Oxide inks. So for this one, I'm using Picked Raspberry, Carved Pumpkin, Squeezed Lemonade, Twisted Citron, and Peacock Feathers. And I'm going to be using the Erin Creative summer blending brushes, and you can use any blending brushes that you have. And I'm just going back and forth and just kind of laying down a rainbow of color. I had originally pulled out also Wilted Violet, but I ran out of room, and so that one, the purple didn't get on there. So you can see I'm just adding the Squeezed Lemonade, and I'm just going back and forth with the colors, just blending them. And once I get to the bottom, I knew this was the side that I was going to do the circle die cut and add my flowers. So it really didn't matter if the blend was completely smooth, or I was just really wanted to get that rainbow color down. You can see I'm just going back and forth. And I am going to spray this with just some water, which my camera cut out. I didn't get that, but I am going to spray it. You'll be able to see it when I pull the panel up here in a moment with the circle die on it, just to give it the background a little bit more texture. And I am using a Ranger medium matte there, which I love. It's so easy to wipe up. So there you can see I'm just kind of placing my little daisies around the circle, and this is actually going to be a shaker card. So once I get those placed and I know that there's enough of them, I'm going to put my circle down, and I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum 6, and I do also have the new Magic Mat, which I love. None of my plates warped. It was so wonderful. And I can't remember if I said this before, but I'll have all these products linked below. So this is what I use for my shaker cards, and I bought this at Michael's years ago, and I'll look and see if it's still available. If it is, I'll link it. I've used probably 3 sheets of it, and I think it was like $6. So it's a really heavy duty plastic, and it was so worth it. And I just had some extra purple tape laying around, so I decided to just put that on. And now I'm just using some glue to go ahead and glue my daisies. And you'll notice up there on the left-hand side, that's one of the panels that comes in the kit. And I foiled it in a silver shimmer foiling, just so that way I'd already have them foiled whenever I needed them. So I'm using the sequence that comes in the kit. And I did add some extra cotton candy, Brutus Monroe, just to give it a little bit more pink in there. I'm not even sure if they're available still, but I love this cotton candy. And that's the finished card. Just added a sentiment. I love these foiled sentiments, so quick and easy. So that's card 1. All right, for card 2, and I have to say this is probably my least favorite. I had high hopes for this one, but so I used some of the Rainbow Shattered, and I foiled this panel, but what I did first is I cut the inside out. I wanted to just do something different with it, so I cut it and then I foiled it. And I love the way the foil came out. Where I feel like this card kind of went downhill was, first of all, I tried to use the black behind it just to make that pop. And I actually did use white embossing powder first, and I just didn't like it. So I went into my embossing powders, and I found an embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. It's a green color, and you'll see here in a moment, and it's called Succulent. And I looked on the site, and it's not available. I think it might have been a monthly embossing powder, but it's this really pretty green. But I needed something a little brighter to stand out on that. But at this point, I was just going with it. So, and you'll notice all of that kind of dust, and you'll get that with the Brutus Monroe embossing powders. You just wipe it away and you're good. So I'm just going to add this down on the top and put that entire thing on my card base. And I do have one slimline card. The rest of my cards are A2 size. And I decided I just needed something else. I just played around with this card so much. So what I'm going to do is go in and add some of the white Nuvo crystal drops just in some little areas. And it kind of brought out a little bit of that the black cardstock behind it. But I mean, it's a card that I could give to somebody. It's just not one of my favorites in the set. And we all have those. You know, we sit down and we do these. If you get these kits and you make a bunch of cards, there's always going to be one that you're just not crazy about. Or you had these high hopes and it just doesn't come out the way you wanted. So on to card number 3, which came out better than I anticipated. So in this box, you received a blue alcohol ink from Ranger and Tim Holtz, which I love. And then you also got some plastic to work on. And so what I'm doing is I have a alcohol ink air blower, and you can use a straw for this. You can just blow on it. I'm also adding a little bit of just straight alcohol that I have in a little spray bottle to it. And that just kind of helps it to move around. So my original thought for this was I had colored and cut out the jar that comes in the kit, was I was going to use this and cut it the shape of the jar and just use it on the jar. But then I decided that I'd kind of would rather do a little bit of alcohol ink smushing. So this is a piece of the gorgeous pink paper that comes in the kit. So that's what I decided to do for my background. So I'm just laying down some of that alcohol ink. And this just shows you can use these alcohol inks for so many different things. So I'm just squirting it, getting it where I like, and then just picking it up just like you would if you were doing like an ink smushing technique. And I love the blue on that pink. Excuse me. So while I'm letting that dry, I am going to work on the jar. So there's the jar. So off camera, I did color a bunch of the floral images in that jar from this kit. Some of these 5 cards, 1 kit can just be so long, so I decided to do that coloring off screen. So I'm going in and just adding the stems, and I love these. They look like little Gerber daisies, which are my favorite flowers ever. So I'm just kind of arranging them in the jar, and I realized that I probably should have snipped the corner of that jar and then put them in. So that way it looked like they were down inside the jar, but I'm going to take care of that in just a moment. What I'm going to do is after I get them glued in, I'm going to go ahead and snip it, which you'll see right here, and I'm just going to kind of bend it around and then glue it back on. But if you recreate this card, it's easier to snip it the first time before you glue the flowers down in. So once I get that in, I am going to use the plastic that was left, and I did run it through just a small Xyron sticker machine because it is clear, so it's hard to hide any type of adhesive, and that works great for this. It works great for vellum as well. And put that on so that way my jar has that little bit of shine, and it still has some of that blue in it as well. So I'm going to position my jar with my daisies, and then I'm going to pick a sentiment out, and I'm going to end up using one of the panels. Sentiment panels came in black, so you can also foil these, which I did not foil those, or the white ones, which I did foil. And the sentiment I'm using is find the beauty in everything. And I love this long sentiment. It's stretched across the card. And I love the way this card came out. This one is probably one of my favorites. And there is card number 3. So bright and cheery and springy. I just love it. I love the floral images in this kit. So next, on to a slim line. When I cut out all of the florals, I knew I wanted to do a slim line. So I just took all the florals that I had left over and I just started arranging them. At first I wanted to do them just straight up and down on the left-hand side, but you're going to see here in a moment, I'm going to start kind of pushing them over towards the middle and to the right, so they're going to look a little bit more organic than just down the left-hand side of the card. And this card was so simple. I just sat down and colored these images, you know, watching TV one night with my daughter, and then they were all ready to go. So if you're you don't have a lot of time, just color the images and then cut them out and keep them somewhere. And then if you need a quick card, you can always just put them on here. As you can see, this isn't taking me very long. I'm just kind of arranging them, putting leaves on. Now I am going to use press and seal to get these so they stay in the position. And sorry, my press and seal has dots all over it. Some of them are decorated. And I'm just going to push that down. And press and seal, if you have not used it, it's kind of like a saran wrap, but it's stickier. And I love this stuff in my kitchen. I love it in my craft room. So it will hold your pieces in place once you get them laid down. So what I did is I just glued everything, added some 3M foam tape, and then you can see through it. Now, obviously mine with the dots was a little harder, but if you have clear press and seal, you can see through it very easily. You just push it back down and then easily pull it off, and now you have your little pieces exactly where you laid them out. So I am going to use a Nuvo shimmer pen, which was desperately running out of sparkle on me. I was just praying it would get through all these flowers. So definitely need to restock on that. And I've had this one forever. I don't know. I've never had one of these dry up on me. Leave a comment below if that's something that you've had to repurchase because it actually ran out. So I decided I wanted to add another flower down there on the bottom just to kind of round it out and finish it a little better. And now I'm going to add my sentiment. And I just used a small happy birthday. And this is one of the ones that I had foiled. And I'm going to put it down on that purple flower. And I am going to back this yellow paper, and the yellow paper did come in the kit on a, I'm going to mat it with black so it pops out, and put it on a slimline card base, and that is the card. I love making slimline cards because you have so much more room to work with. Love this card, so simple, very quick and easy if you already have the florals together, like I said. Okay, so for card number 5, I decided to do some watercoloring. So I am using the Nuvo Pastel Highlight watercolor pens and or pencils, and these are great because they're very pigmented. So I struggle with watercolor pencils, like actually putting the pencil down and moving the color that way. So what I found is if I take a water brush, and I do have water in this water brush, and I just touch the tip, these are extremely pigmented. So it doesn't take much, and the tips will dry and they're fine. But I find that's the easiest way, and you can see how much color goes down. So if you've struggled with watercolor pencils in the past and it's something you want to try, I highly encourage you to check out these Nuvo watercolor pencils. They've got a bunch of sets, and the sets are relatively, I mean, they're priced great. If you can get them from Tonic's website, I think they're $14. Every once in a while, scrapbook.com will have them on sale, but they're really good for those of you who struggle and get frustrated with watercolor pencils. Actually, they have so much pigment that touching that water brush really helps. So I am just going through and watercoloring, and honestly, at this point, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with this card. I just knew that I wanted to watercolor it, and what I'm going to end up doing in my camera is going to cut out my card got full, but I'm going to fussy cut around it and mat it on or put it on a sheet of the dark blue paper that comes in the kit, and then just add a sentiment to it. So the sentiment says, "Bloom where you are planted." And I will show you a picture of this once I get through the coloring. Most of the coloring did end up on film. It was just that right at the very end where it cut out on me. I also have another video that will be posted sometime later this week where I actually made a 6 card. My son needed a sympathy card for somebody at work, and these flowers were just perfect for that. That's why I love this kit, because the florals in it, you can do, happy springtime, birthday, encouragement cards, but you can also do sympathy cards, which are really hard to make for most of us. And so I'll have that video up as well. And I did use the floral stamp set from this kit. As of filming, this kit is still available. And I do believe that at some point Brutus Monroe does sell the stamp sets individually and the card panels and things like that. Because this card panel that I'm doing here is one of the foilables. So you could foil it, you can color it with Copics, you can watercolor it with pencils, you can do whatever. And what I love about these panels is that you get 2 each. So like the daisies that I cut up, I was okay to do that because I knew I had another panel if I wanted to use it for something else. And I do have an unboxing on this kit, which I will link above, and I'll also link it down below for you if you're interested in seeing everything that's in the kit, because there's several things I didn't use. There's ribbon that comes in the kit that I did not use. Also the really pretty pin that comes in the kit that I'll show you in that unboxing video. And these kits are a great value. It's $34.99, and they're just jam-packed full. So there is the final after I colored it, and it's not perfect. It's watercolor, and so there you can see where I went around and I fussy cut it and added it to that blue paper. And that's the final cards. So I hope you enjoyed this 5 cards 1 kit. It's been a while since I've done one, and it was so exciting to be able to get back into it and do it again. So I hope that you're all staying safe and have a blessed day.